Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first post-race show of the 2025 season. The Speed Street podcast is here. We are interviewing winners. We have Alex Palou on the show today, the winner of round one of the NTT IndyCar Series Championship. He left off really as a champion, and he started right back up as a champion of St. Petersburg. This was a race that was on his list of races to improve at. So this is a new win for him, which, it's dangerous for all the rest of us because this is a place that he struggled at, and now he's a winner. So tough for the rest of us. I obviously participated as well. I will talk a little bit about what went down in our race. I think we've got a lot to explain there and a few interesting nuggets to take from. But honestly, overall, great to see so many people at the event. Great to see so many of our listeners. We appreciate you folks shouting us out. I tried to hand out as many stickers as I could. If you ask me while I was just about to get in the car, I don't take them to pit lane, so that's on me. I usually have them in a more relaxed area in my backpack, like at the truck or anything like that. So I'm sorry if you asked and I didn't have any on me. I can't always have them, but feel free to ask. But just probably if I'm like just about to get in the car, I probably don't have them. So that's I'm sorry about that. Hand up, apologize. But great vibes, great crowd, great autograph session, great everything, I would say, for round one. Fantastic weather. The race, okay, a little boring, I've heard. I haven't got to watch yet. I am now at the simulator in Charlotte. I'm doing this podcast from a little like work pod. It feels like I'm in like a spaceship that they're about to launch as like an.
This is totally a remote pod, Connor.
Yeah, this is a remote pod. I got a little fan blowing on me so I don't die. But just an amazing weekend, amazing television ratings. We're going to talk about that too. Fantastic start to the season. But Chase, I want to start with you because you were there. You got to see this in person yourself. You were on the big screens too. You're doing some ads for IndyCar, doing ad reads. Chase is fully engulfed in the IndyCar world now. So tell us what you thought about weekend one.
Yeah, that was the whole screen thing. I was literally standing on the grid, getting ready before you came out to get in the car. Someone's like, "Hey, aren't you on the screen right now?" I had no clue, and I look up and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess so." So that's awesome. Love to be a part of that with Grid Rival. That whole plan that we have put together. It's a great app, and the fans are loving it. So that's huge. The fans were also loving St. Pete. This was. I wasn't in town as long as I would have liked to be. But we got in on Saturday, went and met up and had a little bit of dinner with some guys, kind of late night in town, and then Sunday getting there as early as I could. From moment number one, I was asked to give Speed Street stickers when I showed up to get my credentials. So I did have them with me, had a lot of people ask, and I was there to make sure that I got those out. So hopefully that took care of some of the people that were looking for them, and I'll be at a lot more races and I'll have those as well. But yeah, man, the vibe was great. Like the last St. Pete race that I went to was 2 years ago. And I feel like we definitely at least, had a quarter more of the people there than from what we had in 2023 when I showed up. The race itself was great. I didn't get to watch as much as I'd like because I was very boots on the ground. But after watching the replay, there were definitely some exciting moments, especially right there towards the end. And I mean, it's just the atmosphere, the passion from the fans is always what's big, right? And that's something that I feel really is in a different light than any other series that I've worked with or been to. So overall, it was great. I just can't wait to see how it builds going on into the season now.
I agree. Lots of things to be proud of. I think one thing that I need to talk about too is obviously my number change. We got to talk about that a little bit. So I think there's a few other items that happened on this weekend as well. Joseph Newgarden signs with Clutch Sports, which is LeBron James's manager or agent or something like that. I think
kind of a big deal.
That's big for our sport. Scott McLaughlin signed a long-term deal with Penske as well, so Scott is not going anywhere. Lots of things. So I also asked a lot of the fans, on the internet. I put a little thread up, use the Threads app a little bit there on like just what people thought of the broadcast, because I do plan on watching it when I get home from the simulator, either tonight or tomorrow. But I think there's so much that we can be happy about, and we'll get into the details. But let's start with my race weekend first. Let's just, so we can get out of the way, let's talk a little bit about what our number 76 car went through. That deal, to be honest with people, it literally was happening on the Thursday and also Friday morning. So, we are obviously in a position where we need to bring partners. We continually want to bring partners to the table for our group. We want to solidify my position there. We want to continue to strengthen the team. The more funding that comes into the team, the faster you go. The more funding, in most cases, the more funding you can bring in, the more healthy everything can be run. So, that's our goal. And this deal really is more about something that will happen kind of later on in the year. This is a deal that hopefully is going to be bigger than just a number, but the number does look cool. It definitely is is an iconic brand, the 76. Everyone kind of knows, what that logo means, the orange ball and the 76. We kind of seen that in many, many places, the gas stations over the years. So I just want to start with, there was a lot of people that tweeted me, "Oh, we just bought a 78 jersey. Like, what are we going to do?" I mean, that still counts. That's still me. And with the way the rules work, you could be 76. This might not be for the whole season. We might not be 76, or it could. I think with the way the rules work, I don't know if you remember when Dario Franchitti ran number 50 in the Target era, but you can, as long as you're entered under the same number as the charter, it could be a different number on the car depending on, if you have a deal like we had. So it's not going to mess anything up with the points. Nothing changes. I believe that if we're 76 now, we might as well keep running it. But obviously, it depends on how this deal goes. This deal isn't a fully done deal yet. We're trying to continue to put all the pieces together. But there was a small portion of it that was done for, just literally just in time for the GP of St. Pete. I mean, we had to print those stickers and just put them over, the vinyl that we already had on the car. So a bit of a crazy situation, but we appreciate the support that's coming through there. It all counts. I mean, honestly, every deal, every small piece of the puzzle is super important for our group. So that's why that happened. And if you have 78 on anything that you're wearing on merch, that still counts. So you can proudly wear that. Everyone, I think, will know, what's going on there. I certainly appreciate it. I certainly appreciate those that are wearing our jerseys. I did see a lot of the jerseys at the track, and I appreciate those folks. Keep buying them because that still counts. Just because you're 2 numbers off, I don't think that certainly doesn't bother me, and I think a lot of people will know what's going on. I'm very, very thankful for those that are supporting us. And again, this is something that is an ever-changing situation, and that's how it is for now. So hopefully there's more before thermal. It looks like thermal, we would hopefully be able to expand on this and do a little bit more. It will certainly not be, at least not right now, will not be a major partnership like over, multiple, a bunch of primaries and a bunch of paint schemes. So we'll see though. We'll see. Every day is changing.
That's good. A lot of people were asking about that. That's the one thing I was about to ask you was, are we about to see a full orange and blue takeover on your ride? So
I think it'll look a little bit different than what people think. If this is as is normal, I can't just go into all of the business details of all these deals that we're trying to do because that's just not for public consumption. But we're definitely, you will see. We'll see. We're just going to leave it at that for now, but it's something that was a helpful part of our St. Petersburg weekend, and we'll go from there. So that gets our number change out of the way, but let's just get into the weekend. The first practice session honestly did not go that bad for us. I think we were 13th. overall, something like that. We were like third in our group because obviously the way the first practice session works, and this was the first time for me doing this, it's kind of like a qualifying simulation. It's actually kind of cool. I enjoyed it. We were able to get a few laps out of the way early on, kind of figure a few things out. And then you get a chance to run the green tires for the very first time in groups. And the groups, they split the field in half. So it's essentially like a simulation of round one of qualifying. So you get a little bit more track time, a little bit more space on track so you can get clear laps. And overall, we put it in a decent lap, and to be 13th overall was something that was all right for us. I think a lot of people, if you notice, kind of where I was in the past at previous places where I was driving, in the ECR situation, we would struggle in every session essentially. And so to be able to find some speed in practice, that all counts. Like everything, no one wins practice, and again, it's not important at all, but everyone is still out there doing laps. So I don't, there's not complete questionable result. Like there's no reason why you look at those results and you're like, oh, that's silly. That'll never happen. Because obviously Alex Palou was fast in all the practice sessions. Alex Palou wins the race. So FP2 is a little bit different. So with our tire allocation rules now, so if people don't know the differences, let's say last year, for example, you have a certain amount of primaries and a certain amount of alternates, but you can only run a new set of alternates in the first practice session, and that set you can only run again then in the warm-up before the race. So that's kind of just very limiting on what you can do. But now we have a certain amount of primaries and a certain amount of alternates, and you can run them really whenever you want. You still get the first set of alternates to run in FP1 and then only again in the warm-up. But this gave us an opportunity because I haven't got to do a ton of alternate running in the last, 18 months. So we decided, and a few other folks decided as well, to run another set of alternates in FP2 to make sure we're dialed in for qualifying. Now, there were several people that did that. We ended up fifth fastest overall, which again, not everyone ran the alternate, but still not necessarily a false result. We were pretty confident in the balance of our car, but we knew after FP2 that there was only going to be one lap to do the qualifying lap. The tires were only lasting one lap, and the way tires work as well, this is something that I think people might not really understand, but to get all the lap time out of this alternate tire, you have to extract it in that one lap. You have to have the tire pressures absolutely perfect to produce the maximum amount of grip over the one lap. If you happen to do 2 laps, there's no way you got the most out of the tire on your peak first lap. So everything has to be correct tire pressure wise, and we realized that in FP2, but the reason why we didn't qualify higher up, and same with Pato, same with I think a couple cars, we just missed the tire pressure window. We were just a little bit out of it on our side. It was just a little bit too low. We were not able to get the tire to produce lap time. Doesn't matter the balance. Our balance was fine, but there is free lap time and free speed in just dialing in the tires. You see this in Formula One a lot too. Warm-up procedure, everything has to be perfect to get the absolute maximum amount of lap time out of the Pirelli tires. And in this situation with Firestone, it was the one-lap magic. I mean, we saw Joseph Newgarden not even run at the beginning of the Q1 session or whatever group he was in. He went out, no primary running, just went out and did one lap on a set of alternates. And that hasn't happened in a while. Normally, everyone runs a banker set of tires at the beginning of your qualifying session, but now things have certainly changed. And what actually killed us is that we ran a new set of primaries at the beginning of Q1 just to kind of be like normal in the last year's qualifying segments. You run a new set of primaries because you have plenty. Well, we realized that we did not have plenty after that, and that's kind of what killed our race. But it is a little bit different. So you will see some different strategies now in qualifying with the way that these tire rules work. So it was
I was
definitely.
going to ask what
Go ahead.
kind of brought these rules on?
I think it was the teams requesting maybe a bit of a different shift, and it does create just something that is different. And I think that's helpful for us.
A new
overall.
form of competition, just to kind of roll the dice a little bit more, figuring out new ways to make it exciting.
Absolutely. And it hopefully encourages a little bit more running and practice. Now, if you need to save all your tires, then maybe it doesn't. But with the amount of alternates that we have and how little that they last, obviously it wasn't going to be an alternate race. So realistically, you could have run a second set of alternates in FP2 instead of just waiting. A lot of people just didn't. They just did 2 runs, maybe on some older tires, and that was it. So it just changes the dynamic of the weekend up a little bit. So moving on from there, we were definitely disappointed. I think we had a lot more pace in the car than where we qualified 22nd. But obviously, the way the field worked out, it was me 22nd, Pato 23rd, Rossi was right in front of me. Like a lot of really good guys were kind of all over the place, and it just ended the way it did. So before we get into the race, let's just go through the results real quick. We haven't done that yet. We'll go through everything that, all that happened in the race, results wise, just so everyone knows. And obviously Alex Palou, race winner. That's, we saw that. The podium was about the most IndyCar podium it could have ever been, with Alex Palou, Scott Dixon, Joseph Newgarden, very classic IndyCar winners and success folks. Scott McLaughlin, great lap for pole, but just didn't quite have the right strategy. He finishes 4th. Kyle Kirkwood had a decent race. I actually spent most of the beginning of the race just 1 car behind Kyle, which is, again, why I'll explain how frustrated I was after the race. Kyle Kirkwood was about 1 car in front of us after the start, 1 car in front of us after the first stint. But he was 5th. Good results for the Andretti folks. Marcus Ericsson 6th. Felix Rosenquist 7th. Christian Lundgaard 8th. Rinus VeeKay 9th. Huge heroic drive for Rinus. Great in qualifying. Just, again, he beat all the ECR cars. It's astounding that he got fired from ECR. It's still just prime example of everything that is, I would say wrong with that organization. But yeah, Rinus proving why he should be an IndyCar, proving why he's a winner, proving why he is a very good driver. He beats Alex Rossi, who was hired essentially to replace him. Alex Rossi was 10th. Honestly, I got to give, despite what I just said, credit where credit's due. Alex had a great race. Alex is a race car driver. He started 20th, finished 10th. I don't exactly know how he did it, but obviously fast at the right times, good pit stops, nailed it. Pato O'Ward is a really interesting one. He finished 11th. Pato, we'll talk a little bit about his strategy, because Pato was right behind me after the start. We both got really good starts, but Pato got a puncture. He started on the primaries and then went right to the alternates right at the beginning, and he was behind me on the restart, fell way back. And when I saw he finished 11th, I was like, there's no way. But that was kind of crazy. So Graham Rahal, 12th, good day for him. David Malukas, 13th. He beats his Foyt teammate, Santino Ferrucci, in 14th. Christian Rasmussen, 15th. Colton Herta, 16th. Me, 17th. Kevin Simpson, Callum Isla, Robert Schwartzman, Stingray Robb, Devlin DeFrancesco, Jacob Abel, Marcus Armstrong, Nolan Siegel, Will Power, Louis Foster. So obviously, turn 1 accident, that was a big one.
Power and who is it? Power and Siegel, right? It was Power getting into the back of Siegel on that one. That was I remember seeing that right off the bat, and I was like, I cannot wait to shop this one up with Connor on the show this week.
I have seen far too many accidents in turn 3 now at the start, and happened to avoid this one yet again. But it was, I think I really got to thank David Malukas, because I had an insane start. I got all the way up to alongside Malukas, and he actually probably saved me, because I was outside of him in 3, and as soon as I saw everyone spinning, I had to cut right, and he backed out of being inside of my right rear. And so, man, we missed it by literally inches, which is a nice way to start the day. And I had realized that I had an insane start, because the cars in front of me were essentially Kyle Kirkwood and Rinus VeeKay. And I was like, all right, like I think we're in a good spot here. So that was really cool. but we started on the alternates. So we immediately pitted under yellow, as did everyone on the alternates, and put on the primaries, because we were essentially, the way that is that's a faux two-stop race. So they call it a faux two-stop because it's really 3 stops, but the rest of the day you end up just trying to make it in one more stop. However, we realized that we had to use primaries in the center of the race. So anyway, we'll talk about the beginning. It was Devlin DeFrancesco in front of me, who, again, did a great job in qualifying. Hey, let's give credit where credit's due. Devlin DeFrancesco, great qualifying result for him. I believe he outqualified all of his Rahal teammates, or definitely Graham, because Graham was just in front of me, or right next to me in the starting grid. But, for us, everything was going according to plan, running where we were running, saving a little bit of fuel on the first stint. And we came in, went to used primaries, which, again, Alex Palou, after you'll see his interview. After his interview, he's like, "That's crazy, Connor. I can't believe you guys had to do that." I was like, "Yeah, I know. It's a shame." But again, these things happen, right? We thought that the DEG wouldn't be as bad. We thought that we could get away with running the used primaries. Then we were wrong. So we now know the rest of the year to have only new sets of tires, essentially, for the race, if we can get away with doing that. And still kind of running a strong second stint, decent enough. When it comes to positioning, I was ahead of Graham, the 21 car and the 14 car, as well as Malukas. Actually, Malukas had just maybe gotten in front of me on the cycle, but running where we needed to run to be close to the top 12. Obviously, Graham finished 12th, and we were ahead of him. So running fine, and a lot of degradation started to come in the last 4 or 5 laps of my stint. I could not hold off Graham anymore, and once I lost the position to Graham, it was a real challenge, and only lost 2 spots on track to Graham and Rasmussen. And as we were running in front of the 14 car, Santino, who obviously, again, had a decent day, we had to pit just about 2 laps early so we could hold off from losing any more time to get back onto new primaries. So that was it. Honestly, if you have one tough stint, there's no way to rebound, because we had to save fuel the rest of the race even more, because we had to short stop on the second stop. So, learned a lot. I think our pace overall was fine. We were definitely quick enough to be in the top 12. We got our way up there. But this racing is hard, and this racing is tough, and everything has to be perfect. There were no yellows, so we could help ourselves. There was no yellows to help anyone, really. But yeah, what Pato did, I think, was still the most surprising thing. I said I did a faux 2-stop. He did a faux 3-stop and essentially stopped 4 times, which is wild. But it worked. He used the clear track when he got it. He basically just pushed hard all race long and never saved fuel. So really, really strong. But yeah, that's kind of what happened with us. We know what happened. We had a clean weekend. We know that there's a lot more in us, certainly there. And I'm excited to, and shoot, I felt bad for Colton too. Colton had a tough race in the pits. He had a couple things go wrong, but him and I had a little bit of a funny interaction at the end, because I was saving fuel and he also kind of had to save fuel. And it was basically like the most boring battle between us. We were like, all right, I have to lift about 600 feet before each corner and try to hustle as much as I could. And Colton was kind of trying to do the same. So it was funny. But yeah, Chase, what did you think overall of the race? That's kind of the results and how everyone got where they got.
Yeah, like I had said before, I mean, it really was just kind of your it was your run of the mill intro street course race of the year. Other than kind of like the big crash that happened at the beginning, we did have some really fun moves towards the end. I think the biggest thing for me was trying to keep up with this new tire strategy, right? Like, so with, from a fan's perspective, I feel like you can have multiple things of why you like to watch racing. One, you're either there to watch your favorite driver and all your focus and attention is just on where he or she is at that time. 2, you like strategy like me. I'm trying to find all the things that the guys that are in the box, the guys in the pits that are trying to figure out for you guys while you're out there driving. So that's kind of where my head's at most of the time. And with that being there, I mean, I'm obviously looking at a lot of a lot of the Firestone has a really cool live timing tool that I like to watch during the race, and kind of shows me a little bit of the strategy that you guys are running and how that works. So for me, it was a lot of just following that. And then right there at the end, I'm not gonna lie, like I did not see Scott Dixon coming up where he was, and what he was going to do at the end to get the 1-2 for Chip Ganassi was kind of mind blowing. So I'm always looking for those big overtake moments. I'm always watching the strategy, just being glued into it. And then now, after kind of like watching some of the extended highlights, the full race preview, it's the presentation was fantastic. I love the guys in the booth. It's great to have Hinch back up in there. Will Boxon did a fantastic job. So it's really now it's just building off of this, right? It's like, okay, what are we going to see at Thermal? What are we going to see going into Long Beach? That'll be the next race that I'm going to be attending. So I know a little bit more about how to be prepared to make sure that I'm focusing in while I'm at the track, and not so much, and of course, when I'm home, I'm going to be able to kind of like focus in from the TV side of things, and I'll have a lot more in-depth things to discuss. But really just watching the strategy, man. The strategy is going to be the big thing for me. So I just really encourage like all the listeners, all the fans, find a whole bunch of different things that are happening inside of IndyCar, and be able to kind of like diversify your focus on what it is that's going to make you really have fun during your race watching experience.
For sure. I think something to also continue to pay attention to is certainly in these first, let's say 13 races, basically before all the cars went to the hybrid package last year, the cars were very different to drive at St. Pete. And I think you saw that in session 1. You had both Shank cars spinning in turn 3 without hitting the wall, which is, I mean, they should have both gone to Vegas and bet everything they had, because they were hunting. And then you had Scotty Mack, who ends up on pole, but he smacked the wall hard. And that's not normally a corner where, we've seen some crazy stuff happen there before, but there were a lot of difficulties, I think, with this new heavier package that is, it's creating some real challenges in our suspension programs. And I think you'll see a lot of people fighting the cars as we move forward, which is good for racing. It's good for.
How do you simulate that, Connor? I feel like that's a really good question to ask. Like, how can you guys better prepare for what, from the data that you have of like how this hybrid package has affected the car? Like, how are you guys better preparing for this up until we get to Indy, which was it should be the last race, if I'm not mistaken, that we haven't seen with the hybrid yet, because Mid-Ohio was where we unveiled it, right?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit. I still think we had Detroit and a couple others, but yeah, I forget exactly. But I mean, obviously we have the simulators. I'm at the simulator now, but there's still nothing like going to the track and doing battle on the weekend with it. There's a few things you can sort out on the simulators. We've got a lot of the other teams get to use a simulator far more than we do. So I'm sure they've done a lot of work on it, but we are basically just showing up with a general idea of what we think might happen, and then just adjusting as we go. So I'll be very curious to see who nails it. Thermal is going to be a tough one. Thermal is a big tire deg race, so that'll be fun to see. But yeah, it just provides maybe something fun to follow. Some cars struggling, some cars making mistakes. You're like, wow, these are really good cars that are making mistakes. Well, yeah, because it's hard. We're all out there on the absolute limit of control, and things can happen. So obviously, a couple of things from the race weekend too. Marcus Armstrong, probably not a fan of St. Petersburg overall. He had a wreck last year, I believe, in the green Ridgeline Ganassi car, and then obviously had an issue brushing the wall, which did not bring out a yellow this year. So Marcus Armstrong is going to be looking to kind of bounce back there. But
I talked with him after the race, by the way. I ended up seeing him before I left out, and I was just like, I went up to him and be like, I'm proud of you for where you put the car and everything, and chat with him. But yeah, he was pissed, to say the least. Like, the easiest way to put it. And I had no idea what had happened, because that was just one of those parts that I missed during the race. But he was telling me a little bit about it. So I hope that they're able to build off of this, especially with the street course races, because they did some impressive things in qualifying. So great guy.
Let's talk about the TV rating. So before we get to Alex Palou, obviously stay tuned for Alex Palou. He's coming up here soon, but I think everyone and everything was waiting for this TV ratings number that came out today. And I know that we were all going to sleep a little nervous. I think they released something about the numbers for FS1 for the first practice session, which was like 95,000 people watching Free Practice 1, which again, if you look at numbers compared to Peacock, which was where people could watch Free Practice 1 before, that's a lot more. It doesn't sound like a lot, but honestly, 100,000 people tuning in to watch just our first practice session, I feel like that's a good thing. And we need to be happy about that. We're curious to see how that kind of progresses. But overall, it was over 1.4 million people who watched the race. This is a huge deal for us. I think there was a lot of people kind of tweeting about how big this is. Most watched non-Indy 500 NTT IndyCar Series race on any network since 2011. That's huge. I think we all wanted this. We all envisioned this. We were like, hey, we hope this is going to happen, but until we see it, we just don't know. So I think we can be super thankful for all of you, the fans, the folks that are listening to this, the folks that are supportive of IndyCar, the folks that gave it a chance. I think that's huge. This is up 45% over the race last year, which was on Network NBC. So this is a big win for us. The only thing that I struggle with is that, man, we don't have a race for like another couple weeks. So
Yeah.
I definitely am sad that we don't have a very back-to-back schedule kind of this early on. I hope the vibes continue, the advertisement continues. We build some elite highlight reels from weekend one. But great to see this overall. Will Buxton, James Hinchcliffe, Townsend Bell, great job to those guys. Our pit reporting team too was also announced. We had Jack Harvey in the pits, good friend of mine, Jack Harvey. Please let me know how you think he did. I'll get to watch it. I heard people said he did a great job once he got used to it a little bit. Jamie Little was there. We know Jamie Little's a superstar. Kevin Lee knows what he's doing. Georgia Henneberry is going to be back. Obviously, she just had a baby, so she's got a little bit of time to get ready to be back in the pits. But I think we have to be happy about this. I mean, it's got to be a huge win for us as a sport. We need 10 million people watching each race. Yeah, so does everyone else. I mean, NASCAR still
we did get there.
Yeah.
Fine.
But I mean, NASCAR, like when you look at the NASCAR ratings from COTA, I mean, over 4 million people watch NASCAR at COTA, which was right after our race. So
it wasn't always like that. It wasn't always like that either. And that's the beauty of it.
But I mean, we need to, I would love to get to a point where, if they're getting 4.2, we'll take 2.2. You know what I mean? I think there's certainly a lot to that. But overall, big win, and we appreciate the fans. We appreciate everyone who told someone to watch it, who forced it to be on a TV at a bar. We just appreciate you. What do you think, Chase?
Yeah, got to keep that up. That's the momentum. That's how we get it going. Every time, if you can't be at the race and you're going out for lunch, you ask them, hey, Fox, everyone's got it. So this shouldn't be hard. Okay, every restaurant in the world has it. That's the goal here, right? And yeah, 1.4 million is great. I overshot by a little bit, but I'm ambitious, and so that's how I go. I said, if when Atlanta had 6 million viewers for NASCAR, I said we should easily see at least 2 million views for IndyCar at St. Pete. And so to get 1.4 right at the 1.4, 1.5 mark, if I only missed it by 500K, I'm not upset. That's not too bad, because that just lets me know that we can continue to get there. And I do think we will build there, because there was one moment. And it wasn't so much about like the ratings, right? But there was this really big moment for me, and I tweeted about it. There was a guy, it was him, and I don't know if it was his son or his nephew, whatever, but he approached me on the grid. He got a photo with you and got a photo with me as well. And he said it was his first year coming over from being a NASCAR fan to IndyCar. And he couldn't understand why it took this long for him to see what this was all about. And I met at least 3 other people that were in that same situation over the weekend, made sure to give them Speed Street stickers. That, to me, like that got me to a point where like my heart just like expanded because I'm like, that's the mission, right? Like, that's the goal is like we're raising, all the ships. The rising tide raises all the ships. So to see people that were NASCAR fans that maybe were more closed-minded in that gap and now they're coming over and seeing what this is about. I mean, this is a racing purist series at the end of the day. Like there's so much that is offered with IndyCar. So it's working. And I know that with that kind of momentum, we're only going to see more and more numbers. So really excited.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. So I was really happy to see that. That news came out this morning. This is obviously a Tuesday. The show is going to go out on a Wednesday. Before we get to Alex Palou, once again, thank you to the fans. Thanks to those that came by and said hello. Thanks to those who got pictures with us. Thanks to those that bought Speed Street merch. Saw some shirts, saw some hats. Was really, really cool to see. Really, really love just the support that we get. We're extremely thankful. So I think as of that, we probably got through most of the race. There's a few other small things that I'm sure we could really talk about, but let's get to the winner. I mean, the winner, Alex Palou, he's been on this show before. You've heard him talk, but this is Alex Palou now after he had an incredible Fox commercial. This is Alex Palou now after winning at a track that he said he sucked at, which he really hasn't, but he just hasn't won at yet.
It was a bluff.
So with that, here is the winner of the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, Alex Palou. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to an amazing segment that we had last year with the winners of the most recent NTT IndyCar Series event. Alex Palou is considered now to be a Titan because he said he sucked at St. Pete. He said he had difficult races at St. Pete. At least to me, he said this, but now he's a winner at St. Pete. Alex, great job. People are thinking that the championship is already locked up, that everyone else should go home, including Bob Pockrass. He said he asked the other drivers, how are they going to beat you in the championship? How are you feeling?
Feeling great. I'm feeling great, Connor. Yeah, I mean, you and I both, that's not true. It's just a start, and we have a long way till the end of the championship. But it's great to be here. It's great to see in St. Pete as well. And I was not lying. Like, honestly, if you look at my results in St. Pete before this year, it's been tough.
So tell us, I mean, what was the difference? What was it this year that truly, made, I mean, again, Ganassi won too. I mean, I'm not surprised, but this is something that truly was a shift for you guys. So tell us what the answer was. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna tell you in detail, but
okay,
yeah. But
poor man.
Yeah, honestly, it's one of those places that we knew that we had to make a step. So during the off season, it was one of our goals to try and get some speed there, like try and get the cars to feel a bit more comfortable for us. On street courses, it's all about how you feel the car as a driver. If it allows you to push and to extract 100% from it. And for some reason, we had an okay car in other street courses like Long Beach, Toronto, like even Scott won at Long Beach last year and Detroit, right? So, I mean, in other street courses, we had really good cars, but for some reason, St. Pete, I think having these high-speed corners like 2, 3, 10, 11, it makes it tough in terms of setup. So engineering and mechanics, like honestly, our car had a lot more speed this year than in the past. And you could see that with Scott, with myself qualifying up front as well. So yeah, it's been great. It's been a great start of the year.
So there was a lot that I think went on this weekend with the new tire allocation rules and the green tires. There was a lot of chatter about how they weren't going to last and they did not last. But what can you tell people a little bit about what you guys thought of how the tire allocation rule worked and how it kind of changed? You think, because I thought it was quite a shift in where people ran their tires, how they ran their tires. Certainly, I got victimized by it. We did not run our tires correctly, which I'll talk about in this episode. But what did you think about it?
Yeah, so I thought the tire allocation was okay. I mean, I don't think it was the biggest difference. We basically had the same amount of tires, but we got one extra set of alternate tires, which is the soft tire, and we got one less of the hard tire, which we normally tend to use it more towards the race and maybe practice even, just to get more laps. So the issue was that we went back to a compound that we used 2 years ago in 2023, which was a lot softer, a lot more deck. But now we have the hybrid. So it's another, I don't know how many pounds, 60 pounds,
A lot of
70
pounds, yeah.
like a lot of pounds. It's a lot of weight that we're adding to those tires, and they did not last. Like they lasted really good for 1-2 laps, and then they just went to complete bad. So we already saw that in practice. Like as soon as in practice one we did like 2 laps, I had a little bit of traffic, I started pushing again, and I was already like 2.5 seconds off, and I was like, whoa, I either did something really wrong or there's something bad, and there will be some surprises in the race with this tire. So we basically try and save the primary tires for the race. That's why we also started on alternates to try and get those out of the way as soon as possible. And I think some people didn't think it was going to be that bad. I've been a victim of thinking that it was not going to be that bad in some races like Detroit last year. But that's what makes IndyCar so interesting.
Were you surprised at how many cars were not starting on the alternate? I was. I thought that there would be basically 24, 25 cars on the alternate, and then you'll have maybe a couple guys taking a gamble. But it was a bit almost half and half, not half and half, but there were a lot more cars in the primaries, right?
Absolutely. I thought there was going to be like two or three drivers that were going to start on primaries. And I understand that as well. Like if you're starting in a position that you don't think it's your position, if you're starting in the back, just go on an alternate strategy, hope for the best, hope to just be lucky with yellows and stuff. But actually, I was surprised with front runners starting on primaries. Like it was a big gamble, and actually didn't pay off for anybody that started on primaries.
Yeah, Chase, I'm going to let you jump in here with Alex.
Yeah, so Alex, outside of the racing in St. Pete this weekend with brand new season, Fox coming in, the fans. I wanted to ask you, did you see any noticeable differences between how many fans were attending the race, not attending the race, and what were some of your experiences off the track in St. Pete this year?
Huge. It was huge. I don't know if it was because of Fox. I don't know if it was because of, Connor being there or you being there. Like, it was huge. The atmosphere there was amazing. It was amazing already on Friday and Saturday. Like Saturday on qualifying, it felt like it was Sunday. Like you couldn't walk in on the paddock. There was a lot of people that actually knew who we were. Like, there's some races that there's a bunch of people, but you can just walk past through the people and they don't even know that you're a driver. A lot of people recognize me a lot more this weekend, and the amount of people that there was in the stands and in the pits, in the paddock, it was huge. So for me, it was the best St. Pete race that we had. I don't know if it was full crowd or not, like if it was sold out or not, but I'm pretty sure it was close to it. And also after the race, once it was done, I did the podium and stuff. It was full of people over there. But after the media, which that maybe took me like 40 minutes to do, there was still a lot of people waiting on the trailers at the team just to take pictures and stuff, which never happened. So it was amazing. Hopefully it's just the start. Hopefully we get more people in the next couple of races. But I don't know what you guys thought about it, but for me it was excellent. 10 out of 10.
Love to hear it.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I would agree. It felt like Friday, big crowd, big amount of people who were just shouting about wanting to interact with the drivers. The autograph session I thought was really great. But yeah, even Friday, Friday just getting to the autograph session, I thought was incredible. And the amount of people there, it was fantastic. Now, obviously you had one of the Fox commercials. So that's great. more people knowing who you were. I actually love to hear you say that. But when it came to, let's talk about other elements this weekend. A few of the, let's say, qualifying results were very interesting. You had Pato at the back. You had some cars that not maybe aren't normally there at the back. It's a bit of a shift in the field. What did you think of the competition level of the weekend and how close it was and where people were having to nail the lap in qualifying? What did you think of it overall compared to seasons past?
I think every year it's just getting tougher and tougher. Like it's always like that. We always say it, and it's not repetitive. I mean, it's repetitive, but it is what it is. Like it's true. Like Q1, I was P1 by 2/10. Normally, when you're like that, you do a mistake and you still get through. It's okay. Q2, I was P8, didn't get through, and I was like maybe 6/10 off or 5/10 off. I didn't get everything together. Got a little bit of traffic here and there. A lap was not perfect, and suddenly you're out. I think we saw that as well with Pato, with Joseph, with myself, that we were all weekend like in practices up there. And that just means that that just shows the competition is really, really tough. Also during the race, like you're not lapping a lot of cars. Like I lap a couple, but it was not like, oh my goodness, this is lapping cars fest, which we had in the past. So I mean, it's cool, but at the same time, it's not cool. Like I would prefer if it was only a couple of cars up there and that's it.
Let's talk about some racing moments. So, because you didn't start on pole and just take the lead, right? There was some strategy that was involved. There was some overtaking that you had to do. What did you think of the racing? I mean, I thought that with the new added weight, with the hybrid at St. Petersburg, I thought the racing was maybe a little bit better than expected, but the race wasn't that exciting. I heard it was a little bit boring, which again, there was not a lot of full course yellows, which was kind of a shame. But from your standpoint, what did you think? I mean, was it all, hey, we had to nail the strategy when we did to take the win, or what did you think it was like?
Yeah, first of all, I think that we got a bit unlucky having a yellow on the first lap because everybody that started on alternates just changed the strategy, and suddenly we went to a 3-stopper, but it suddenly put everybody in the same pack, and you didn't see any deck on track and so on. So that and also being on a street course, like everybody needs to understand that it's a street course and it's always tough to pass. Like it's not that we don't want or we don't want to take risks. It's that, man, every time you break a little bit deeper, you are this close to being on the fence. So I thought driving wise and as a driver, it was fun. I expected a lot worse with the hybrid. The hybrid, I thought the amount of energy we had to deploy each lap, it was actually quite fun, and it made you work to get those energy levels and to meet those. It was allowing me at least to be closer to Joseph when I was fighting with him, and it was being in the action. Like I think we had some races last year where hybrid didn't play a role at all. And then my race, I started 8th. It was a very strategic race where we just had to save a little bit of fuel to try and go a little bit longer than Joseph, which I was, let's say, almost all race fighting with. And then also with Scott. So I did an overcut to Joseph, an undercut to Scott. My team did an amazing job on the pit stops, and suddenly I was in the lead. So for me, my day was actually almost perfect, honestly. So I don't know how was yours.
That was good.
I know a little bit, but I have a strong team behind, and they led me with a really good strategy and really good pit stops.
Awesome. Chase, jump in here again.
Yeah, so Alex, I don't know how much you got to talk with Scott, but the rumor has it that he was out there with no radio, no communication.
Yeah, that's
Did
true.
you guys get to talk a little bit about that after the race?
Yeah, after the race. So I didn't know while I was racing, even though we're on the same team. There's stuff that we keep to ourselves. At the end of the day, we're competing one to each other. I learned about it after the race. It's actually quite tough, and especially in a race like the race we had, where it was 3 cars fighting on strategy, and you pit 1 lap before, 1 lap later, that changes the whole race. So I think he did an amazing job, obviously. He actually got trapped by not pitting, and he got trapped in traffic, and that's how I did an undercut to him, and I got a clean out lap and overtook him. So I mean, it's tough for him, but obviously happy for me for the 10 car, and happy that he got second. But I mean, it's tough. I wouldn't like to be in that position for sure. People don't realize how much we rely on our team for strategy, for engine mixtures, for COP changes, like front wing changes during pit stops, tire pressure changes. Like, we rely on our team a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot for somebody to have to pull in on their own. But that's why they're calling this man the GOAT right now. So I don't know. We'll see.
He is honestly, he is like, I was probably every lap or every 2 laps in contact with my engineers, like trying to understand if my fuel number was good, if it was putting us in the right lap that we wanted, the changes I wanted for the next stop to try and be more competitive. So to imagine that race, that it was so intense between the 9, the 2 and us, not to have already, it's quite amazing what he did.
Let's talk about a couple moments now. Some arguments with some traffic situations. I saw a whole story. Maybe my teammate was holding you up a little bit. I heard.
Oh yeah, maybe.
I didn't get to watch the race at all. I haven't watched it back yet because I'm at the simulator now. But obviously a little bit of frustration there. Was there some maybe some manufacturer battles? You know, I don't know. What was your standpoint on that one?
I mean, you know, manufacturers always, they always need to fight, and it makes it tough. Look, I understand the rules are the same for everybody. I understand that he was not doing anything that it was wrong. I actually was calmer than I thought I would be. Like, there's been some races where I'm like, just get that car out of the way, or I'll jump out and I'll start punching this guy in front of me right now.
Okay,
but it was
which
not
we
like
also
that.
want to see. We want to see that too. Yeah,
He was not like that. I was like, okay, Alex, it's okay. He's doing his job. It's fine. But I saw the gap going from 5 seconds to 0.9. And I was like, dude, I need to pass Stingray right now. I think he got out of OT. He ran out of OT, and then suddenly I was able to pass him. But it is what it is. Like, there's some races where traffic has helped me. Like, actually, to pass Scott, traffic was helping me because it trapped him, and I was able to run a good outlap. But it's frustrating. I mean, it's frustrating to see that you spend, I don't know, 15 laps to open a gap of like 5 seconds, and suddenly in like 3 laps, it just goes away. And it's a traffic lap, a lap car that you cannot do anything. So I wish that it was forbidden to be using OT, because I cannot burn my 60 seconds that I'm saving for the last 10 laps in case there's a yellow. Like, if there's a yellow late restart and I don't have OT and I'm fighting with Joseph and Scott, I'll get blasted. I'll get, yeah, they'll just pass me. But yeah, it is what it is. Same for everybody. So yeah. Can't say
there you
anything.
go. Were you surprised there were no yellows? I was very surprised. I thought with the way the degradation was working out, with the way some of the fuel strategy were playing out, some cars, obviously, some traffic. I mean, I was very surprised. Is this just the level that everyone's at right now and just trying to get some points on the board to start round 1?
I don't understand. I had a couple of moments where I was like, whoa, don't do that again. So I guess everybody was on the same. It was one of those days where you separate half of the grid on strategy, and suddenly everybody's able to push quite a lot. Like, if you look at the pace was very strong. And I think when you have a very strong race pace like that, where everybody's pushing, you start to have separations between cars, and then accidents don't occur as much. So that was probably why we had that. But yeah, I don't expect that to be the norm on street courses. Like, normally on street courses, you try and dive in a little bit, somebody touch another one, and boom, there's a crash right there in the yellow. So I wish that also for the fans that there would have been a little bit more drama. not with my car, with somebody else.
Obviously, yeah.
But it goes like this sometimes, and I think that shows also what you said, the level of everybody. I think a lot of people also complain when we have races like Detroit, where it's like yellow after yellow after yellow, and now you have suddenly a race where there's no yellows, and it is what it is.
So we knocked St. Pete off the goal list, right? Next, I assume, is an oval win. I assume that's the next goal for you. Indy 500 happens to be the next oval, of course, which, we will all be fighting for. But, is that the next goal, to complete the Alex Palou, driver calendar of I need to get this off my list of things to do?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That's the goal. That's what I have in mind. That's what the team has in mind. But more importantly, it's what I have in mind. I've now won on an oval. I've been close. I think I'm getting there. But if you haven't won, you haven't won. It is what it is. Like, if I retire now, I would retire without an oval win. So, I need to get that done. And hopefully it's at the Indy 500. And hopefully it's this year. So yeah, I'm working towards it. So, hopefully, we can knock that out in May. But if it doesn't come in May, I won't be like crazy about it. Like, there's plenty of chances, throughout the year.
Well, I hope to prevent you from doing that. But Chase, let's get one more here for Alex.
I just want to follow up on that, man. I mean, do you think that this oval thing is more of a physical limitation, or is this more of a mental limitation for you?
I think it's more of honestly, it's more of a feeling limitation. So it's not it's maybe a 50-50. I don't think it's a skill thing. I don't think it's a scare thing. It's maybe a 50-50 thing where I just need more experience or get through more stuff and then get more confidence, which that's mental. So I think it's right there. It's not something that I can do right now without being on an oval and without racing to get better. A part of studying, a part of like trying to get through the moments where I struggle the most. And it's not like we're really far away. So it makes it tougher. Like, it's quite easy at the beginning to make steps. But that now when you're there, Iowa, I finished second. And 500, I finished this past year 4th or 5th. Like, we're there and we're making moves. Like, we're fast. It's just about getting a little bit more. So probably speaking better to my engineers and letting them know exactly what I need, which I think I'm really comfortable saying what I need or asking what I need at road courses and street courses. But maybe on ovals, I rely more on like, okay, just do whatever you think. And I think I need to be more of like, understand more what I need as a driver from the car. But I cannot tell you if it's going to take 1 month or 1 more year or 10. I don't know. Hopefully it only takes me 1 more month.
One race at a time, man. One race at a time.
That was a great answer, honestly. I really like that. So before we let you go, let's take a look at a quick preview. We got Thermal up next. Thermal could also be a tire deg race. I didn't get to participate in the race last year, but I obviously was there and saw it. And
you remember that you bet against me at Thermal?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, just so we are all clear. Okay, yeah.
Understood.
Well, I had the record. I'm going to keep it on record. By the way, I had you in fantasy. So shout out to
Chase. I know, Chase. I love that. Thank you for paying $30 million for me. I'm worth 30.3 now.
I'm a big spender, dude. You got to pay for the greatness.
I know. So, I was there at Thermal, but the tire deck was huge. I don't know what tires we're gonna have there.
To finish out, you're the winner there. You had a big check payday. Everyone's excited. You were able to buy a new house with that, I'm sure, or maybe some more diapers. But talk a little bit about it. I don't know anything about the race. I tested there 2 years ago, but this is something that, we didn't really expect it to be a full championship race, but here we are. Now we're going to have, all these things to deal with. Give us a little preview of it. Is it going to be a strategy race where, hey, we're going to have to fight these tires once again?
Yeah, I think it's going to be really exciting, honestly. I think last year, first it was an exhibition, and then the format wasn't allowing everybody to just like develop a race, because as soon as the tire deck was hitting, we suddenly stopped the race. Like, it was too short of races for Indy cars. We need pit stops. We need strategies. We need different compounds. There was a ton of tire deck last year. We didn't have the hybrid. We're gonna have a hybrid, and it's gonna be tough. I think being close to the desert or having that sand that it's close to lagoon as well, it just kills the tire whenever you run over that small sand. So it's going to be like that. I think it's going to be exciting to have two compounds that we never run and different strategies. So we saw already at the exhibition a lot of overtakes. It's going to be double that. It's going to be a lot of action. And I cannot wait. Yeah, obviously we had a great car, but you love it. I mean, you tested there, right? You said?
I did. Yeah, I was okay with it. I'm curious to see what how it goes here. I'm hoping for a great race for everyone, because we need, after St. Pete was a little boring. From what I hear, I certainly thought it was a lot of work doing saving fuel, tires, working. I mean, there was all kinds of going on, but we need a good one. We need a good one on the road course. I think.
It'll be good. I would bet money that it's going to be a good show, for sure. Like it's a track also that allows you to make lunges, to overtake. It doesn't allow you to really protect much. Like there's some corners where if you defend, you're done for the next race, for the next corner. So yeah, I think everybody will love it. I think we'll have some fun as well as drivers, and there'll be tire deck strategies. It'll be a lot of fun for sure.
Well, I appreciate you being here. This is we might interview you 17 times this year. Who knows? I hope not. I hope we get a lot more, different winners.
It would be cool. It would be very cool.
That would be a wild.
It'd be very Ricky Bobby of you if you won every race.
Yeah,
it would be cool. But yeah, you can forget I think there's no chance you can win every race at the IndyCar. There's zero chance. There's zero chance.
Great way to start the season for DHL, for your group.
Yeah.
You're the guy to beat. So it's gonna be a challenge for everyone. I can't wait to get to the next one. I hate that we have to wait a few weeks. I am dying to get back into this.
I hate it as well. Wagon. Honestly, I hate it as well. Like if we had a race this weekend, I would love it. And,
my God. Yeah.
We see each other like every 2 days or something, and we both hate seeing each other and not being at the racetrack. I know. Hate working out, like we just like to be at the track, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm just curious, what's gonna happen with the podcast if you win a race? Like, do I get invited to interview you, or how does it?
So right now, I believe Scott McLaughlin has been the dedicated interviewee. He said he wants to interview me.
Okay,
now
can I join as well? Like, can we be two?
Could you imagine having multiple drivers doing this, Connor? Yeah. Like just having like 6 guys in here,
like just a round table. We'll do like a round table discussion.
I think that's a great idea. We could do the round table of Connor Daly's win in 2025.
Hey, if you're up for it, I'm up for it. I believe that we are going to win this year. I think we have the potential to do it. So if that is what you'd like to do, Alex, we'd love to have you for that interview segment. So that sounds great. All right. Well, Alex, we appreciate you. Great job. Great way to start. We will see you in Thermal. Great Fox TV ratings. That's thanks to you and your face, because you were part of the commercial. So, we owe you a lot.
Of course. No, thank you guys for having me. And I'll see you soon.
Well, Alex has apparently committed to interviewing me with Scott McLaughlin if I win a race. When we win a race, let's go ahead and put that in the atmosphere. So that's very cool. We appreciate his time. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Alex is an incredibly talented driver who I think should be listened to at every possible opportunity. I think he's got a lot of great things to say. So we appreciate him. And who knows who we're going to have on next week. We'll see what happens. But until then, we got to get to a Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week.
The greatest event of its kind that's ever been run on.
Let's meet the drivers. Who will make up the field?
This week, folks, we went back into the olden times. We went into a time where probably everyone is dead now, but we went to the 1925 Indianapolis 500. The 1925 Indianapolis 500, some names that we have used before, But the 10th place finisher, top 10 day, was Pietro Bordino. Pietro Bordino was born in 1887, an Italian racing driver, one of Italy's top racing drivers of the 1920s. Bordino won the 1922 Italian Grand Prix. Oh, all right. That's a big title. One of a few European drivers of the period to compete on the regular American IndyCar circuit. Oh, wow. Composed largely of board ovals. Remember those, Chase? The board ovals? And he won twice during the 1920s.
Wooden tracks.
Yep. So, sadly, though, he lived a short life. Bordino died in 1928 during practice for a race at Alessandria after he hit a dog, causing his car to overturn and land in a river, drowning him. Okay, that's awful, both for dog and
horrific,
person.
Actually.
That is terrible. But he was renowned for his speed and courage. I don't know. I mean, there's probably no walls in these racetracks back in the day, nothing like that. But yeah, you know what's I find yet again fascinating? We found another driver who only had one Indy 500. So there's also a picture of I guess the fatal crash that Pietro had. So that's kind of wild. Feel free to check out his Wikipedia. But Pietro Bordino, that's our Ricky Treadway Random Indy 500 Driver of the Week. So there you go.
Shout out Bordino.
Shout out. So with that, pay attention if you're watching on the YouTube channel. I tried to record a few things with my camera from the St. Pete week. It is really not organized at all. Turns out I have way more to do than be able to record everything. I don't have a content person. I can't afford to pay anyone to do content for me. I can't afford a lot of things at the moment until we continue to bring in more partners. But I did my best. I'm going to try to shoot some footage over to Bobby, producer Bobby's, to see if he can dice up a little video to put on the YouTube about the St. Pete weekend. Maybe that'll come out to kind of keep you entertained. But yeah, we appreciate everyone for listening. Please subscribe on all the podcast platforms, on the YouTube, everything that you got to do. Follow Chase and myself on the internets. We've got some things to share with you. We've got some more IndyCar things to talk about, I'm sure, over the next few weeks. And with that, we say goodbye, and we'll see you next week on Speed Street. Hey everyone, Connor Daly here. Please leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, and also subscribe to the channel as well. That would be very helpful. Be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you on the next episode of Speed Street.